Really?
Hello, good evening. Welcome everybody to the Inside Out Effect podcast episode. What episode is it, Steve? 38. And tonight, I've got the script in front of me, but I've got my glasses off, so I can't read it. Tonight,
how's that working for you?
I know, it's not. I should do the opposite. I should put the glasses on, shouldn't I? But they reflect on the screen. So tonight we're going to be talking about self-worth or a lack of self-worth. And that is a very broad umbrella, but the umbrella we're going to look at, or the theme we're going to look at under that tonight, is not feeling good enough. And we're going to break that down and explain how that gets created and different scenarios in which that will be created. But before we get into that, let me introduce to you my good friend, my business colleague, the delicious, the delectable, the delirious Mr. Stephen Jakes.
Hello, mate.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you. Sorry, I was just getting it set up on the old thing. So, Rebecca, good evening. Just getting the messages, because we don't get them on here, do we?
What?
The messages from the people that are watching.
I can't hear you over that shirt. Sorry.
Yes.
Shirt.
It's a jumper.
That jumper. It's a jumper. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's looking nice. It's nice. I like it. It's good. I don't normally like green,
it was
but it's
purple
nice.
last week.
It was. I've noticed the colour change.
It was purple last week, and then today I thought, because obviously with Rebecca watching.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. She's the one that moans about us being not very colourful. So
okay.
Last week purple.
Me,
this colourful. Week green.
Sorry, I'm very grey, Rebecca. I know it's grey beards, grey shirts generally. It's very...
great personality.
Yeah, great personality. I'm starting to feel like John Major. It must be rubbing off.
It's really weird, actually, because his name's going to pop up again in a little while.
What, John Major?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I must be psychic.
Yes.
So have you got a drawer full of these shirts? Have you got different
They're not shirts, they're jumpers. What's wrong with you? You're an intelligent guy and you can't tell the difference between a jumper and a shirt.
That's a very thin jumper. Those are not my sort of jumpers. My jumpers are thicker, more cuddly.
I have actually got a whole range of different colours.
Okay, brilliant. So expect different colour next week as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Awesome. Good. I don't have that range of clothes, ladies and germs.
Ladies and germs.
So
you're good at this hosting.
I know. I don't have the range of jumpers that Steve has. I just have a couple of t-shirts. So
it's so funny being on the other side watching it.
Watching me not interview it.
You see, can't even get that right.
I'm not watching you interview it. I'm watching me introduce you. I'm not interviewing you. Yeah, so how you been?
I've been really... Shall I do you?
Yeah, do it.
I've been busy. Been really busy. Super busy. I've been working with clients. Been super busy.
Super busy.
Yeah, no, I've... so this week, actually, it's been quite a quiet week for me. I mean, I've still had my clients. But, I mean, last night I was dressed up as a Frenchman, drinking champagne with a fake moustache.
How's that different from any other night of the week? What's normally going on?
I don't normally have a fake moustache.
You don't have a fake moustache?
No, so that was quite...
Why were you doing that?
As a friend's birthday.
As a friend's birthday.
Yeah, so,
I don't know why I'm asking. I was there. So I don't know why I'm asking. I was dressed up with a moustache as well. So I don't know why I'm asking. I didn't have the beret on.
But so I was drinking champagne last night. I woke up with a stinking headache, which is because obviously I don't drink very often. So that was quite fun. But so this week I've generally been quite quiet. And so I've been working with clients and stuff. So I decided to create a new product for what we do, which is the whole subconscious mind tapes.
Yeah.
Tapes, yeah.
Tapes?
Yeah, so
how far back are you going? During the war?
Yeah,
what?
So for those of you that are watching, maybe a subconscious audio or... mind tape.
Do you mean mini disc?
Mini disc.
Or do you mean VHS? Or do you want to go all the way back to Betamax? How far back are we going here?
We could go back to the subconscious Betamax. So basically it's a subconscious audio.
Audio,
not tape.
Okay.
Subconscious audio. And that's really to, because what we do is obviously we have 4 different levels of brainwave patterns that we have in our mind, and primarily the first one's beta, which is our awake state, where we're constantly awake. So where we are right now, it's our wide awakes when we're focused in. Then we have alpha, and then we go into theta, and we go to delta, which is where we go into deep sleep. So when we're in delta wave, we're in deep sleep. There is gamma, but I won't go into it.
That's the Incredible Hulk, so don't go there.
Yeah. Well, I've got the green.
You've got the green, I was going to say, yeah.
But anyway, so in between there, you've got alpha and theta. And that's sort of when you're dropping out of conscious and going into your subconscious, where we're going into deep sleep. And so I don't know if you guys know, but it's in order for us to change our behaviors and modify what we do, and DTO and what Jonathan and myself does is obviously great because we go straight to it and change that. But when you can't or don't have the facility to do DTO or have a tool like that, there's a magic piece of time between when you're falling asleep, from when you're like dropping off to sleep and you're going into sleep, is when our subconscious becomes open and suggestible. It's when the conscious and the subconscious are awake together. And in that magical moment of time, you can go in and put information in there and plant seeds or overwrite existing programs that you've got that aren't working for you. So if you have any doubts about what you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to do in life, if you've got fears about taking action, or if it's generally changing beliefs. So, you might think that you deserve, a really successful business or a lovely car or a relationship. But if you've got anything that's in there, that what we call is inner self-talk. So Neville Goddard talks about this, was that what we manifest is generally our inner talk, and what we believe is generally what we manifest. So when we know that, we can actually go in and actually modify and change those beliefs in that little magical period. And so what I've done is I've made a piece of music, and which is really nice. It's very, very sends you to sleep very, very quickly. And in there, I've sort of basically done a guided meditation that takes you into the meditative state and also this alpha theta state very quickly. And then I've basically recorded a number of beliefs and a number of program changes, which is for me. And so I've done that for the last 2 or 3 days. And I know that when we spoke last night, we were talking about change, because we have affirmations, which are statements, and then we have affirmations, which are questions.
Yes.
And so I haven't done the affirmations, I've done the affirmations, and it's just basically changing a set of beliefs that I have. So as I'm falling asleep, these statements are going into the subconscious brain to be written. And so ultimately, the most important thing is to make sure that we know what it is that's stopping us from doing what we want to do, and then changing those. And sometimes you can have these subconscious audios that you have on at night. I mean, I've got a Bluetooth face mask with 2 speakers, so it's just like a face mask that you put on an airplane with a couple of speakers on, and I put that on at night. And then obviously they're Bluetooth, I've got no speakers popping out my ears or earpods. And then basically as I'm falling asleep, that information's going in very, very effectively. And so sometimes things can change automatically within a day, and sometimes it might take 21 days or 28 days. So I've built that. So that's sort of really been my focus this week, is recording, re-recording, re-recording, etc. So that's what I've basically been doing. Obviously working with clients. I've had a lot of people now who are really struggling with the current situation.
Yeah.
So predominantly people who are getting to the point now where, they're really at the scraping the bottom of the barrel, not earning money, stuck in the house, no freedom, don't know what's going on. I've got massive splits in the families between people that believe that there's a virus and that there isn't, people that believe about the vaccine that don't. It's massively causing people lots of problems, so I've had most of the people that I've worked with in the last week have all been around that. And I've got to say that generally I clear most people's issues in around 1 session. But this particular issue around this whole, whatever you want to call it, the COVID nonsense, I'm struggling to get that done in 1, and it's normally taking 2 sessions. So the actual conflict that's being caused due to what's going on right now is causing severe conflicts, really deep-rooted problems. It's causing massive, severe depressions and anxieties, and it's really testing my skill and ability to remove these. Although we've got a new method of doing it, there's a lot of people that are really struggling, and fortunately enough, they've been smart enough to contact me and said, I'm sick and tired of feeling like this. I'm sick and tired of being in this situation. I need to come and see you. They've come and seen me, and pretty much, I've reduced it by 80%, and in the next session, I've got rid of it. So that's sort of really where I've been, and that's what I've been doing, and obviously laughing about what's been going on the.
Oh, hysterical! Absolutely hysterical. What's been going on?
It's absolutely hysterical. What's going on in America? I mean,
yes, I posted an image earlier on of Biden apparently signing in the White House, and you can see the walls parting in the back,
in the studio,
like the old the old program used to be on where the boards would wobble with the character Benny in it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called now. You just see the walls coming apart in the background, so you know it's not actually the White House. You know it's a studio at Castle Rock, wherever it is. But it's getting funnier and funnier when they're trying to present him like he's in the White House when he's clearly not.
I know it's getting ridiculous now. I mean, we was just talking about it in there before we come on air, and you know the whole airplane thing.
Yeah, he's not riding around on
He's
Air
like,
Force One.
he's
had to
around,
hire a jet. He's had to hire his own jet to fly around on because he hasn't got Air Force One.
He's not even on Air Force One, which is what the president's plane's meant to be. And he's got some 737 that I normally get on to go to Ireland to go and see my son. And so there's lots of stuff not right.
There's some very irregularities with the whole thing that don't add up and make sense.
Yeah, I mean, and also
there are things that are just bizarre that are not normal.
Yeah, I mean,
president-elect.
I know a lot of people struggle to join dots. I know that I had no. I know that when I was 3 years old, one of the first things I did in life was if I joined dots, I was able to form a picture. And unfortunately, I was able to do that at 3 years old. Unfortunately, I seem to struggle that the majority of adults right now have that inability to be able to join dots and formulate a picture. But I don't know why that is. But so I mean, the funny thing is that when you look into that and you realise that the studio that Biden's meant to be doing, whatever he is actually the Amazon studio.
Yeah.
And so obviously, if there's something wrong with that and it's not 100% right, and it's being done in the Amazon studios, and there's a little bit of skullduggery, not right going on about it, and then within 4 or 5 days of that happening, Jeff Bezos has to resign as CEO of Amazon.
Yeah,
so you go, hang on a minute, and then but it's for philanthropical climate change work.
No, maybe there's a connection there. Maybe. Let's see.
But people aren't going to make that connection. So
I think it's made it for them.
I hope so.
It's helped them join the dots. It's like we're holding a pen and holding their hand and drawing the line to the next dot.
You can see the mainstream news watchers going, oh, and that nice him doing all that climate change, and he lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, but without really
didn't was it Greta Thunberg who recently sent out a tweet and then retracted?
Yeah.
Because she
was inciting rioting and stuff and talking about Indian farmers.
Oh right, okay, got it.
Indian farmers and telling them, and so she had to, and now apparently she's potentially facing charges.
That's it. Oh, that's right. India are going to face charges with inciting violence.
Right,
it's very ridiculous what's happening in the media at the moment, and it's. But before we go into that, you've got some interesting facts, haven't you?
I've got some interesting facts
about today.
Yep. So
we need a little tune. We need a little tune now.
We do need to. I did
try
to
do It's not as sleek.
Did it not have the impact it needed?
It's not as professional as perhaps we might need. I mean, it'd be like me going ting with a triangle. It's like ting, ting. It's better just to get the triangle.
Yeah, I have got.
Go on, then, hit us. I mean, just tell us the facts.
Yeah,
don't hit me. You wouldn't hit a man without glasses on, would you?
I wouldn't. No. No, look. This is. So I'm drinking free chamomile tea today.
Free chamomile tea.
Yeah, which is what meant to be your drink.
You didn't buy it.
You're drinking my tea.
I'm drinking. No, what have you got? I've got the same one.
Lemongrass and ginger. Oh. Anyway, so let's get on. So on this day. So we're going to do on this day. So on this day in 2005, I don't know if you remember Ellen MacArthur. She's getting boats, and she actually broke the speed record for sailing around the world.
Yes, of course I remember. I remember it now. Yes.
Yeah, she done it in 2005.
Okay, wow,
which was that 16 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
That long ago, yeah.
Hell, time flies.
So and then in 1812, it was Charles Dickens. Well, he was born. It was been his birthday today.
Oh,
so Charles Dickens would have been 209 years old
if he was alive today.
Yeah, if he was alive today, he'd be 209 years old.
Yeah, I love it when people do that, when they celebrate someone's birthday 200 years after they've died. Yeah. That's always people going, if he'd been alive today, you would be 449 years old. So
I know.
It always makes me chuckle.
Yeah,
no, that's good. Charles Dickens,
but Charles,
classic, right?
Yeah, he was, and he started off as a journalist.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, before he became a novelist, he was a journalist, and pretty much a full-time journalist for all of his life. But he did do novelist, and he also was an actor as well. He did a lot of acting.
Oh,
but he was born in 1812, and he would have been 209 years old today. But he was famous for obviously lots of books. A Christmas Carol.
Of course,
obviously.
classic.
David Copperfield, Great Expectations, the old Knocking Shop. Sorry, the Curiosity Shop.
Right.
The old Curiosity Shop, and Bleak House was just to name 5 of his books that he's done.
I think my favourite one, David Copperfield, when he made A Sturge Livers Disappear. That was brilliant. I loved it.
It was a great illusion.
It was fantastic. It was brilliant.
Great.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting about Charles Dickens.
Yes. Happy birthday, Charles! If you're listening.
Yes,
from beyond the veil,
on the other side.
Yeah.
And in 1991, on this day, the IRA launched a mortar attack on 10 Downing Street.
That's a bit premature, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't they be doing that now?
I think they were 30 years too early.
I was going to say, I think they were. Yeah, I think that needs to be done. We need a remake.
Yeah,
let's remake it.
Yeah. So anyway, John Major was the Prime Minister.
Was he?
That's why I said it's weird that we got John Major.
Yes.
He was actually the Prime Minister at the time.
I do remember John Major being Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Don't remember him doing anything, but I do remember being Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And then
in 1928, the first solo flight from England to Australia took off from Croydon and landed in Australia. It took 15 and a half days.
Wow, 15 and a half days.
Yeah, 15 and a half days. It took off in 1928 from Croydon to Australia. And you got to love it. The guy, the pilot, cracking name, his name was Bert Hinkler.
Bert Hinkler, that is an awesome name. Bert Hinkler.
That was 93 years ago.
Is that the same plane that Biden's riding around?
I don't know, but what a name. Bert
Hinkler. That's
nearly as good as Bert Turgler.
That's a real classic sort of movie name, is it? Bert Hinkler.
Bert Hinkler.
Introducing Bert Hinkler.
Yeah. When he in the Fonz. Anyway. So there you go. That's some interesting facts on this day, on the 7th of February. So there you go. I've run out.
Is that your interesting facts over?
That's my interesting facts over.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for that.
That's all right.
Some interesting
I'm
facts
here next week.
A little bit of comedy. Are you going to be here all week?
I'm here all week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're going to be on your own. I'm leaving after this. You stay there a week. I'll come back next week.
Okay. Shall we say hello to some of the people that?
Yeah, say hello to them. I can't see them.
So I've got hello. We said hello to Rebecca. We've got Vicky.
Don't bother saying hello to her again.
We've got Karen, and we've got Kelly Winks, Mark Edmonds, Ash. Hello, Ash. How you doing?
Hey, everybody.
Good DJ.
Is he a good DJ, Ash?
I like Ash.
Hey, Ash.
Paul Smith and Davis, Selena, and Amanda. Amanda's back watching again. Hello, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda.
You're becoming a regular.
She must be keen.
She's keen, isn't she? So hello, you guys. And then obviously on the other stream, we've got Jane and Tracy, who's obviously watches all the time. So hello,
Fantastic.
Tracy.
Hi, guys.
And thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
And if you're watching this and you know anyone who's suffering a low self-esteem or not feeling good enough, then please like and share the podcast. Share it with as many people as possible, because the more people who get this information, the better, the more people we can help. Even just by listening to the information, it can sometimes spark an idea or spark a solution in someone's mind just by listening to what we talk about. And then at least we've helped somebody else. Even if we don't see people directly, we get people message us all the time saying how I had one lady, message me saying how us talking about something sparked off an idea in her head and realized that's what her problem was, causing a problem.
Yeah.
So just listening to the podcast helps a lot of people.
I know, and just because it might not be happening in you, and you may not be suffering anxiety, depression, or you've got any of these issues, then there may be someone that you aren't aware about, because we all don't like to talk about our problems for whatever reason,
especially men.
Yeah, and so if you do watch this and you do share it on your feed, then who doesn't know myself and John or aware of us may watch that and then reach out to us for help. So it's all best that you can that you share it, and because if they don't know that we're here to help and what we can do, which is actually get rid of pretty much anything. Well,
this one specifically, because it's about self-worth, and most people, unless you're very, very lucky, and most people do suffer with a form of not feeling good enough at some area of their life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in relationships, maybe it's in work, maybe it's with your social environment, maybe it's with your children. On some level, everyone experiences, or a great percentage of people experiences these days, are not feeling good enough. And that is the theme for today. So it's not really about depression or anxiety today, although self-worth is a big contributor towards depression. It can affect your depression. One of my clients, she's had depression for a very long time, and part of it is her self-worth was just shot to pieces over her childhood and the 50 years of her life that she's she's been living.
And also, if you've been in an abusive relationship as well, you
Yes.
know, you can find yourself actually believing what people tell you that isn't really true.
Yeah.
And that can also damage your self-worth as well.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about self-worth, but the umbrella we're going to talk about, as I said at the beginning, is not feeling good enough. There are multiple umbrellas. There's being criticized, there's feeling blamed, there's feeling judged. These are all different umbrellas, but today we're going to look at not feeling good enough.
Yeah, we are going to
and it's a common one, and this doesn't just go for illness and disease. This goes for law of attraction, having the things you want,
Yeah.
the things you desire, having an amazing relationship, an amazing partner,
Yes.
having the job that you want, having the money and the resources that you want.
Yeah, even taking action and doing the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, just simple little things like doing hobbies or taking up a new hobby like photography or
I mean, I said in the the advert that was written for the podcast which we advertised, it was like when you no longer feel like, or you no longer enjoy doing the things that you do.
Yeah,
you just lost, you know, you just no longer enjoy it, and so there's a lot of elements to it, and I think we're going to touch and cover on some of them and what's actually behind it. I just want to say hello to Trevor. So I just want to say congratulate to Trevor, because he's just had a little baby boy.
Oh, congratulations, Trevor.
So I want to congratulate my friend. He popped by and I said hello to him the other day. So so I've done a bit of work with Trev. He's a top guy, play football with him. So all the best, and we wish him a very many happy few years with his little boy.
Yeah, and as much sleep as possible.
Yeah.
Because now babies keep you awake at night. What have you named it, Trev? What have you called it?
TJ.
TJ?
Yeah, Trevor Jr.
Trevor Jr.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. TJ, I love that.
Yeah,
Trevor
so,
Jr. I like that. That's good.
Trevor Allen. I think it's Trevor Allen, but they can call him TJ. So.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's a great little name.
So congratulations, Trevor, and I think he's joined us. So there you go.
Brilliant. Hi, Trev. Right, so
Self-worth.
do you want to kick off with self-worth?
No, I'll let you do it.
You feeling good enough tonight to do that?
No, I'm not.
You're not.
No, I'll let you, because I've done quite a lot.
You let me kick off.
Yeah, I'll let you
Okay.
kick off.
So a lot of people, as I say, they do suffer with a lack of self-worth, and I've experienced that in the past as well. And every now and again, it rears its ugly head in different scenarios. Like when I wrote my book, that was a different form of a lack of self-worth, especially my latest book, for instance, because that was not just me writing a book. That was me presenting a system that I'd created. So that was something new in my life that had come up that then reared up a lack of self-worth. So you can have unusual things in life like that, but often self-worth is caused by, as I said, by relationships or being in a job. You know, I've worked with clients who have not felt good enough to do their job. They've not felt capable of doing it or intelligent or smart enough to do the job.
Yeah.
I worked with one lady last year, and she was about to transition jobs. And one of the things she had to do in the new job was to speak in front of people. And she just didn't feel good enough to do that because she wasn't good enough to answer the questions that the boss was asking her. And so she felt she wasn't good enough in that job to do that. And as soon as we switched that all off, the transition from one job to the other went really smoothly. And she stood in front of them, had no problems giving presentations or asking questions. But where it came from was when she was in business school. So when she was 18, she was in business school, and her business coach or teacher at the time used to put her down and used to almost ridicule her for not knowing the answer in the class. Now, a teacher shouldn't really be doing that. You should be encouraging your students. But because he put her down, every time she was now about to give a presentation, she would be reminded of her boss unconsciously when the new boss would ask her a question, and she just freeze up, she'd freak out. So it's interesting to note, people think that their problem, is in the now, and often it always goes back to the past somewhere. So in that case, it went back to a very similar event that happened in the past. And that is usually the case. So if you're experiencing a self-worth issue, then it means that somewhere in the past, or it certainly can mean that somewhere in the past you had something similar happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't go very well, and now your unconscious is recalling that in the current situation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, and with a lot of people that I work with self-worth issues, it's generally like you said, something's happened, but it's always generally stems around a relationship, and it always generally does stem around a relationship. And quite often, when you've been in a relationship and someone's consistently digging you out, And the reason they're digging you out is not because of the thing that you want to do, it's because they can't do it themselves. And so it's a projection. The problem is that when we do something or get excited about something and someone criticizes us, it can have a massive impact on it's like a Yudin moment to a certain degree, because it's a bit of a shock and it can knock your confidence massively.
Yeah.
And as soon as you now start losing confidence in your own ability to take action or move forward or be brave to see through your own ideas, and then ultimately when you come around to doing it next time, you have all of this stuff that gets in the way, your sabotage kicks in and you won't do it. And generally that is a problem, because what happens then, it starts going on a downward spiral.
Yeah.
And you can find yourself getting very depressed, very anxious, or you can get anxious just about thinking about doing things. You get really depressed because you're not doing the things that you want. And so, so I spend a lot of time with people that have struggled in abusive relationships. And in many cases, they stay there because it keeps them trapped in it as well.
Yeah, because they don't feel they're good enough to leave or find another partner.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I don't even believe
the partner has put your self-worth down so low that you don't believe that you're going to find someone else, you're able to find someone else. You don't believe that someone's going to want to take you on. Yeah. I actually, it's a lady a few years back now, and she had two boys, and they were both one of them was disabled. Sorry, just one of them, and she was going through separation. But her self-worth issue was that she didn't believe someone would take on 2 children and one of them being disabled. She's now with a very lovely partner. And as far as I know, they are still together, and she's very happy. But that was one of her self-worth issues, that she didn't believe that someone would take them on. And of course, that's just not true. That's not how that works. I remember when I was younger, when I actually started late in life in dating, I believed I'd never get a girlfriend. I didn't
I'm surprised.
I know, yeah, me too. Remy was surprised last night as well. I'll tell you, he was very surprised. But hi, Em, if you're watching, she knows you were surprised.
John, I've got a self-worth issue at the moment. Then.
What about dating? Maybe he's wearing much green jumpers. Maybe that's what it is.
Put them off
because they might think you're in Star Trek and you're going to die in the next episode. That might be what it is. They might think you're going to, if anyone likes Star Trek. Mine's that be the red one, really, wouldn't it? But they do look very much Star Trek-y. They're very like that. But we all do have limiting self-worth, and you've had limiting self-worth, and you've probably still got some running about certain scenarios.
Yeah, I probably have done.
Your confidence is not back to exactly where it was before, but it's certainly almost back.
It's almost back to it.
And that's the thing. Someone can actually be confident to begin with, and then lose it halfway through. Or, it doesn't have to, it's not necessarily there all the time. Or maybe you've never had it. You don't ever remember feeling good enough or worthy of something.
Yeah. So I just want to wind that, because actually this is a good thing for me to talk about, because that's what actually did happen to me. And, it was, I lost my business. I lost all my money. I lost my car. I lost all my friends. But I just literally lost everything in a very short period of time. And when that happens, it's very difficult, because obviously you lose all your confidence in everything. Mainly because you don't actually understand why would those people do that to you, and then you start questioning yourself and realize that it must be something wrong with you. And fortunately enough, I did realize that I was a big contributor to it, but I've been able to go back and change that, and now that stuff's never going to happen again. But that did, for a long period of time, sort of keep me very much isolated. It kept me very much isolated. It kept me locked away in my home here. And that's in that 2-year period where I learned about the human. 2 years I studied about the human brain, the human mind, how it works, how behaviors work, just everything I needed to know. And that's how I learned and did do the video of how that works. But so as much as it being a very negative thing for me, it was also a really positive thing, because I dedicated all my time and energy into understanding and trying to learn how I could change it. But that's still a distraction and a move away from where I currently was. And I found it very, very difficult for long periods of time to go out. I was a really confident person. I was I was fearless. I didn't care. I was quite brash, and I would just risk after risk, and I didn't care. And then when all of that happened all at once, it was so many things, losing my son, my other half moving to Ireland, having all my money go, just like everything all happened at once. And I remember when I was sort of coming out of the other side of it. I remember we was going out to a beer festival, and I was freaking out because I thought I'm going to go out and see people.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen people for quite a long time, and I was a social animal. I was everywhere, but I felt really angry, and we had to switch off the anxiety of going out just to go to go for a beer festival.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
And that's sort of like that's when you get this massive wake up call of realizing like how much damage certain people, situations, circumstances, events in your life really have, because that is probably on the opposite end of the scale to the person I used to be.
Yeah.
And I would imagine if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And so, but the only way I was able to out of that and not let it consume me was actually by having to go and doing the work. And fortunately enough, I met you, and I've done nearly 2.5 years now consistently of doing it, and now I'm nearly back to where I was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was fearless, and I would, when I was setting up businesses, and I was just full of myself, and but it did have a massive impact, and the problem is that as you're coming out of that, you still have these self-worth issues of thinking, are you good enough, and you start having doubts and you start having fears because your past experiences per se, well, you're worried about them happening again, and you start questioning your own self. Is there something wrong with me? It's about other people's perceptions of you, especially when you have done the change work. It can be quite a sort of like weird place to be. You feel absolutely amazing in yourself, but then you're a different person going into the world, and it's like a child starting to walk. It's sort of like relearning to go back into society as a new person, and that can cause self-worth. It does cause confidence issues, and it did me, but the only way that I was able to get past that and do that was by actually going in and dealing with every one of those events, every one of those responses. And fortunately enough, like I said, I met you, and then switching them off, and now over time I'm like I said, almost back to
I mean, your example, your situation was a very extreme situation of being a confident bloke in your teenage years to then having lots and lots of trauma.
Yeah, it was
burying the confidence. Yeah. So a lot of people, I will say, a lot of people say they have a lack of confidence. You can't have a lack of something. You can't have a lack of confidence. The confidence is not gone; it's just buried. And Steve's was buried deep, deep, deep undercover. He just sort of all the traumas he'd had just built on top and were just squashing the confidence. And that's one way that can happen. Another way is that you just don't develop any confidence as a child in a certain area due to your upbringing, your parents. Another lack of confidence can be around school. When you enter school, not feeling good enough at school, not feeling intelligent, not feeling you fit in, either because of kids or even the teachers sometimes. I've treated clients where their teachers have put them down and insulted them and made them feel not good enough.
Yeah, I've had similar.
And you can do it when you enter a new job. I remember when it's a typical I can't speak. What am I saying? It's a typical therapist thing that when a person becomes a therapist, especially if later on in life, they can feel like they're not good enough, or they don't know enough, or they're a fraud, in fact. And I remember experiencing that because I used to be a magician.
I thought you used to be a fraud.
I used to be a fraud. No, I did. Well, kind of. I was a magician. I used to fake it. It's a very interesting thing going from being a magician to a therapist. They are both kind of magical. When you help someone, it's a very magical thing to do.
It is. It's an incredible
but it's not, and it's almost like real magic in that case. But it's a totally different thing. So I had a little bit of that as well. When I shifted into that, but I wasn't raised like you. I wasn't confident like you to begin with. I learned my confidence through entertaining, through being a magician. I actually grew my confidence over a period of time because I didn't have the DTO or other techniques back then.
Yeah, I mean, there's my confidence also was my biggest downfall because people that were like plodders that would get on, just to plod in life and just have this, be settled and do this thing, would obviously find me very brash and then you had other people that would feed off of it because they had that lack of confidence. And so it's sort of like a downfall really. But I suppose now I would say I've got a different type of confidence. It's not like but anyway, I mean, that's where it's a different type of confidence. So it's a more of a grounded and more of a secure, stable confidence rather of trying to project it. Or
I was going to say your confidence in the past would have been more of a projection of confidence. It might have been a really good projection of confidence.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but unfortunately, when you're projecting confidence, it often
the opposite's always true.
Yes, that's right.
The fact of the matter is when I look back, I wasn't confident at all. It was me trying to disguise feeling weak and self-aware weaknesses or insecurities, which was masked by me being really confident, and it was easier to move away from.
And often the reason people do that is because the old expression, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that most people don't actually make it in that scenario, because they're faking it so much that it might then feel like it's them, but there's still that niggling doubt in the unconscious mind, and then that puts them on their pendulum.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you swing backwards and forwards. It's very draining trying to be someone you're not. We were talking to a friend about this last night.
Correct.
And he had a very low self-esteem, and he's changed dramatically. And if he's watching, he knows who he is.
Well, he better know who he is.
Better know who he is.
If he doesn't know who he is, he's got massive problems.
Yeah, we can't help.
Give me a call.
Maybe look in your passport. I'll give you a clue, or your driving license. He had a lack of self-worth, and he's just starting to find himself and be able to be himself. And he was finding it because he didn't feel good enough in certain scenarios. He would try and pretend to be somebody else in a social setting. And now he's realized that was so draining and tiring. It's lovely being around people where he can just be himself.
Yeah. So going on to that, I had a client here a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying to them, we were talking about this fake it till you make it, projections and pendulums and how they don't work. And I said, we got to realize is that when we do act this way, everybody has a bullshit detector in them. Every single person. So if somebody comes into a room and starts acting in a certain way, you instantly go, that geezer's full of crap, and you know he's fake. But the thing is everybody else has one too. So if you're able to detect other people's fakeness or fraud or all the rest of it, then everybody else is going to detect you when you're being fake and fraud as well. Yeah. And so as much as we think that we can mask it and that's who we are, everybody can detect it. Nearly everybody has a bullshit detector and everybody knows it. Now, the problem is with that is that you might think you're getting away with your act and your so-called projection of who you think you are and all the rest of it, but everybody knows different. The problem with that is that brings trust issues in, because then if you're expecting trust from other people or a good quality friendship from somebody, or you wonder why no one wants to be with you, it's because they've sussed out your projection, your inauthenticity. It's about being authentic and having integrity. And when you're on the pendulum and you're projecting, you've got neither. And so that tends to leave you in a position where, unless you're with like-minded people that also aren't authentic and have no integrity, then you'll meet together. But
you will find like attracts like.
Like attracts like.
That's what Instagram's for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like you will attract the people who are very similar around you.
Yeah.
Because that's the law of attraction. So if you are someone who's faking something, you will attract people who fake it as well.
Yeah.
If you are genuine, you'll attract genuine people as well. If you are people if you're someone who's not very confident, you'll generally be around people who are not very confident. Very rarely would you attract someone who's super confident.
Yeah. So
you can attract the opposite sometimes.
Yes.
But it's rarer.
The point I'm making is that all the time you're not being your true self and you're pretending to be somebody else. People know inherently, they have an intuitive knowing, and that's going to leave you feeling very isolated and alone. And what ends up happening is that when we're acting and behaving from that, we never ever get what we really want. We never get the proper friendships, the proper relationships, and they'll come and go very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And that leaves you sometimes feeling alone. You're full of shit, and then when you walk out the pub, you feel guilty about the fact of that as well. You've got loads of guilt and shame every time you're doing that. You're also creating guilt and shame in your system because you know that you're lying and being fake. So you just start adding to your problems, and it becomes over a long term. It can become very, very. It can get to very depressive and mental health states. But you don't realise that you just lying about how and who you are is actually causing you potential mental health problems and physical illness and health problems later on. And that's just because you're not really being authentic.
And that's a really important point. People don't realise that the behaviours and actions they're doing you can feel very guilty and ashamed about them. And it's the guilt and shame that make you feel not good enough. So if you feel guilt and shamed about actions and behaviours that you're doing unconsciously, that is what make you feel like a piece of shit sometimes and not worthy. Or action behaviours you did in the past. I've treated lots of people who have done what they believe were bad things or wrong things, and they feel guilty and ashamed about them, and that plays in their unconscious mind, makes you feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And then you stop attracting good things.
Yeah.
You stop having good things or wanting good things because you feel so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is most people don't like that and will run away from it anyway. They don't want to go. They don't want to deal with that. They like their fantasy world, and because it's safer for them, because it's something that they've created. But they don't realise that it's actually not benefiting them, and it didn't benefit me. And the fact of the matter is that fake it till you make it and that false confidence led me on a path of creating loads of this stuff with people that didn't work for me, that were dishonest, that were backstabbers, that were ruthless and not really not really the right people to be with. And then in that instant, because of the person that I was, I'd had all these people around me. In an instant, all of that crumbled very, very quickly, and I was pretty much left with nothing. And when I look back on that, that's because none of it was real. It was all built on this fake person, fake belief of who I was. And now I'm rebuilding from the real me, and with a real solid foundation. But it's just a warning, really, to people. And if you ever wonder why things keep going wrong, especially either in relationships or business relationships or friendships and the rest of it, good place to start is that. Yeah, it's a good place to start. Is there?
Start with your self-worth.
Start with your self-worth. Yeah, absolutely.
And look at your behaviours and actions. Look at the mistakes you've made or the things you feel you've done wrong, and write a list of those things down. And the problem with it is that the shame, it can be such an intense response, even though you're not aware of it, that it can actually make you shy away from doing it. The shame can actually make you not want to go there. And that can be tricky because you have to kind of override that manually. Yeah.
And the other thing you need to override is your ego, or if you want to call it your ego as well. It's just like you're being too proud and you can't be seen to have any faults or weaknesses. And how dare, I've got it all right. There's nothing wrong with me. It's everybody else. And just look, a great way to look is if you're drinking wine every night, and if you're smoking, and if you're getting angry all the time and you're shouting at your kids and nothing's really working for you, relationships keep going wrong, but it ain't you, it's everybody else, then that's a good place to start. It is actually about you, and it is always about you.
Yeah, everything comes back. If we have something in our lives that's not working and we keep have it happening more than 3 times, then chances are you are creating that. Yeah. But what the mistake people make is they blame themselves. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying blame yourself
or others.
But once you realize that you are responsible, that's not a blame thing. It's just going, you know what? I have done some things wrong. I'm doing this behavior. I'm doing this action. I can change that. And that's where a lot of people struggle.
It goes back to what we talked about last week.
What?
The last podcast. Well, hang on a minute. Is blaming me and everyone else working for me?
No, exactly.
Is it working for me that I keep blaming people and nothing changes?
Yeah.
And I keep having the same outcomes, and no, it's not working for you. Go look at the checklist. I did post it. The first one, is it making me feel emotionally loving, kind, and friendly? And the chances are no. So it doesn't work for you. No. So if it doesn't work for you, stop doing it. Make the changes. Take responsibility and go, well, what do I need to do in order for this to change, or for this to work for me for the best outcome?
Yeah. And the thing is, with things like that, they can be quite subtle, and you don't necessarily realize you're doing them. And sometimes it's not even necessarily something you're doing, it's an energy you're putting out. So I'll give you a couple of quick examples. So if you're not necessarily doing any bad behavior, you might be putting an energy out that's causing the other person to react that way. So for instance, if you don't feel good enough for a relationship, you don't feel like you are enough for that person, then what will happen is you may not act badly, but that energy will be radiated out, and that person will then react in a way that matches that belief system.
Yeah, that will do. Yeah.
And cause them to behave in a way that matches, that shows you and tells you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Likewise, you can have a scenario where that feeling of not being good enough actually triggers a behavior in you, a behavior where you try and act like you are good enough. And in doing so, you end up pushing the other person away because you've gone too far the other way.
Yeah.
You're trying to act like you're the best in the bee's knees. And then that just comes across wrong and could almost cause you to put the other person down and criticize the other person because you're trying to be good enough.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make yourself feel good enough by insulting or criticizing the other person.
Yes.
Because deep down, you might think actually they're better than you.
Yeah.
Which is not true. No one's better than anybody. Well, most people are
fairly. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, of course you are, totally. And
how many times have I got to tell you?
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
You got self-worth.
Can you write that down for me? Maybe put it on that audio.
Yeah, I will do.
Steve is better than you in every way.
In every way.
Steve is handsomer, more sexy than you in every single part of his body. So
It's starting to hit home now, isn't it?
I know, yeah. I'm gonna have to switch it off later.
You're gonna have
seriously.
to, yeah.
So
Don't blame God, however.
no, wait, no. I'll blame you.
Yeah,
It's your fault. You've given me a complex. So I forgot what I was going to say now. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
No, you were talking
put me off
about.
track.
You were talking about that when people attack other people.
Oh yes. So if glad someone was listening.
That's all right.
So because I wasn't paying attention, switched off. So when you're
Subliminal DTO,
it is. I know that's what it is. If you're not feeling good enough, it can cause you to criticize others. I know my dad used to do that a lot. My dad never felt good, and I actually picked up that trait as a habit. But I hopefully don't do that too much anymore, but I became aware of that. But my dad used to do that. He used to criticize others, but that's because he really didn't feel good enough. He didn't have a good education. He didn't go to school. He was dyslexic. And so he used to project that everybody else was stupid and bad and wrong to kind of make himself feel better.
They're all projections. And so I mean, that's a great thing. Like all of those things, being angry at people, mocking people, that all is basically an inherent self-worth issue that you're trying to mask by being super confident or attacking other people or making everyone else look stupid or calling out other people or getting angry with other people. It's always about you. So
So if you are experiencing a lack of self-worth, the first thing you can do is you can write down the area that you feel it. Now, some people only have it in one area and some people have it in multiple areas. So just write a title, lack of self-worth in relationship, or lack of self-worth with family, or lack of self-worth in job. And then what you can do is you can write a list of memories from the past, from when you was a child or when you was a teenager. Teenage years especially can be difficult for people, especially when they start encountering social lives and things like that with people their own age, because then teenagers can at senior school can really affect you in quite a hard way. Write down a list of the negative memories that you have where it made you feel a lack of confidence. Maybe it's because your dad used to put you down. That's what my dad used to do to me. He used to criticize and insult me in small ways, and that had a massive impact, but it was such small little things. Maybe it was your first partner did it to you, or maybe at school you were criticized and now you have a problem learning, or you have a problem with being told what to do, or a problem with listening or something. So write down a list of all the negative memories you have where you felt that not being good enough. And you may have 5, you may have 10, you may have 20. Don't write paragraphs because you don't want to get into it. You just want to write a title so that when you look at that, you know what that means. And then you can start changing it. You can start recognizing patterns and start changing it. Or you can learn the DTO and start switching some things off yourself. Or you can see a practitioner and help you switch those traumas off as well. But just recognize that that's where it came from. If you're someone who's got severe depression, anxiety, do not do this because we don't want you re-triggering yourself. But if you can recognize, once people start to recognize the pattern, 20% of the problem starts to lift because they become aware of the pattern. They become aware, oh my God, it comes from there. Got it. And when you become aware of it, you can actually start to change it manually. As long as the pattern's not very strong.
The problem that most people have is they think that by doing something externally, as much as it does feel good while you're doing it, doesn't actually solve the problem. And we say it all the time. We're going to take up a new hobby and we're going to go and do this. We're going to do that. And I'm going to do some cooking. I want to keep busy. You need to keep busy. And actually, all you're actually doing is just avoiding the issue. What you actually have to do, and if you don't go back and deal with the issue, you're just going to be keeping busy for the rest of your life and making up shit and believing the shit you make up. And
doing yoga will not make you feel good about yourself.
Yes.
Doing yoga is designed to stretch you. It's designed to calm you a little bit. Maybe meditation in there and keep you healthy physically, but it won't make you feel good about yourself for 5 minutes maybe, and then you'll leave, you'll get re-triggered and you'll be back feeling shit.
It's the same as the gym.
It's
the same as the gym. It's the same as exercise. And we're not saying don't do exercise, but we have so many misconceptions about what exercise actually does. You got to remember is emotions and thoughts and stuff that's going on neurologically is something that's been created in the brain, in the mind, your feelings. It's not because you haven't done any exercise that makes you feel depressed, because depression isn't caused by a lack of exercise, or having anxiety isn't nothing to do with what you eat, has nothing to do with whether you're going to the gym or not. It's got nothing to do with whether you're going for a walk in nature or doing a hobby. It's not it doesn't work that way. And there's so many misconceptions that we have around what causes our thoughts and our feelings, and it's all nonsense when you actually realize that there's specific things that cause specific issues. So we know what causes depression, we know what causes anxiety, we know what causes PTSD, where it is, how it's stored, how it manifests itself, how and why you keep experiencing what you keep experiencing. And you twat.
That sounds great. It's created just like that. PTSD is created like that.
Yeah, you're such a dick. All right, and fucking give me an heart attack.
No, that's a loss conflict. Yeah. That's a territory loss. You're not going to have a heart attack. Right.
Anyway,
no territory loss.
So the point I'm making is that all of those things are caused by situations like that or other issues.
Well, not quite like that.
And the thing is that when we don't accept that that's the truth or the reality of it, we will keep going to cookery schools and we'll keep going for walks and we'll go fishing and we'll do everything except go and deal with the thing that's causing it. And if we don't deal with the thing that's causing it, you're going to have that thing forever and ever. And over time, it gets worse. It gets worse. It doesn't get better. It doesn't just magically one day go, oh, do you know what? Dave, Sheila, do you know what? I've woken up today and it's all gone. That's amazing. Wow. If you're waiting to wake up one day and in the middle of the night, God created the universe, has come in and solved your problem, and all of a sudden that thing's gone away and your life's going to start working, and you've just been waiting for that moment because Saturn's aligned with Mercury or whatever, it's not going to happen. Everything's caused neurologically. And if you don't go and change it neurologically, then you're stuck in those thoughts and those feelings, and whether you're not feeling good enough or confidence issues, they're all caused by something. And what we do and what other practitioners do is go and find out what the cause is and remove it. And until you realize that if you don't change the cause, you're never ever going to change the effect or the feeling ever. And as much as you want to believe it and how many videos you make you watch and how spiritual you are, doesn't work.
No, it's very much like having a leak in your pipes and then just ignoring it, hoping it will get better and fix itself. Really what you need to do is call the plumber. And once you call the plumber, he'll know exactly what to do and fix it. But if you just ignore it, the leak will get worse, it will get bigger, the pipes will split.
Oh, no, it won't. Tomorrow, mate, we're going to wake up in the morning and then all of a sudden somehow it's fixed itself.
Has it really?
Yeah, it's fixed itself.
Wow,
yeah, it just fixed itself. Actually, I was thinking about if I go fishing or go to yoga, when I come back, that pipe's fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, I might do that.
So if you are experiencing a lack of self-worth, if you're not feeling good enough in a particular area of life, it's not who you are. It's not that you were born that way. You're not just a sensitive person. None of these things are true. You've just been raised by your family or school to not feel good enough in what you do, or you've had some shocks along the way that have made you not feel good enough.
Or you've had a toxic relationship.
Yeah. Or maybe you started off feeling confident and then it's got suppressed and squashed down.
Yeah.
A lot of women have that issue in relationships where they feel like their whole personality has been eroded away. And when they get out, they don't really know who they are anymore. They want to get free and blossom, and they've lost all their confidence.
I've seen that with a lot of people that I've known in the past, and I see them now, and I'm like, where have you gone? What happened to you?
Exactly. I knew a girl years ago, and she was a lovely girl, and she was bubbly, and she just enjoyed partying and things. And then she got with a guy, and her whole personality changed. And now when I see her, she sits in the corner on her own, nice and quiet, and he's just sort of dumbed her down a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, she was a little bit wild sometimes, so she could have had a bit more balance in her life, but she had a lovely personality. She was bubbly, she laughed, she joked, she was fantastic, and she just had her personality suppressed over years, and now when you see her, it's quite sad. Yeah. But that's not for a lack of confidence or not feeling good enough. It's just that she's been told that that's not the way to behave, or you shouldn't do this. And it's sad that's not generally true. Yeah. I mean, if you are behaving over the top or in certain ways, there are ways of telling someone that without crushing their whole world, without telling them they're useless or pathetic, because that is not the way to do it.
No, I find that a really good way of doing it, and it's a very popular way across, most of people out there, and it's post a Facebook meme. That normally tends to do the trick. About letting go and just turning around. Forgive yourself. Post a Facebook meme, and then all of a sudden someone's going to read that meme and it's going to change what's going on in there. It's incredible.
Yes. Yeah, the Facebook memes.
The Facebook memes.
Possibly the worst thing ever invented in the 20th century.
Well, only when it comes to mental health and emotional health and behaviours and stuff. I mean,
some of them can be funny, but seriously...
No, they're all funny because they don't actually work.
I mean...
They make you feel good when you read them. You're like, yeah, I could do that. I could just let go and move on and just let it be, and then realize that in that moment the thought of it makes you feel good, but then you wake up in the morning or an hour later you're still feeling shit with the same problem, because reading a meme and having an emotional response to it ain't really solved the problem.
No. And it's funny as well, we one of our friends last
although
night
I am a bit partial to posting the meme.
You do like a good meme. I don't post memes.
Yeah, but I tend to write stuff as well.
Yeah,
that correlates to the meme.
Well, they're okay, but I mean, like you said, it's a very fleeting thing. One of our friends last night said, "Oh, I saw this great meme the other day that was related to a subject we're talking about," and she couldn't remember what it was, and was like, "Well, that's brilliant, that's perfect."
No, that was me.
That was you.
That was me.
That was you.
I couldn't remember what meme I posted.
Oh, okay.
No, Louise sent me a really good meme,
right?
And so the meme queen, and she sent me a really good one, and I posted it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's so spot on." And I was talking to you about, because I've had a new meme designed. So Bobby, if you're watching, thank you for that. She's designed me a generic meme for to put some stuff out there to get people thinking and identify what we're talking about now. And then I was trying to explain it to you. I said, yeah, because they really work. I want them for memes like this really good one that I posted the other day, and then I couldn't remember what the fuck it said on there. Because that's how powerful they are.
That is exactly how powerful they are. No,
yeah.
I've never really grasped the whole idea of memes. But no, the thing is that people do look at them and they go, "Oh, it's so true."
Then do something about it.
And then they forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're saying change or nothing will change.
Yes,
you're correct.
Yes,
and they do nothing about it.
Change or nothing will change. Yeah, do nothing about it. No, you're right. Yeah, yes. If I change, then nothing will change. That's so good. But I don't know how to. No, my website's at the bottom there. All you got to do is just click on it, and the answer's there. The answer's there.
Well, we're actually going to give you a way to do it. I don't know if we've actually done this in the past. I think we have. But DTO works on different levels. So what you can do is, when you do recognise that something's not working for you, if you just ask in your head, is that working for me? You should get a no. You then ask, what's the opposite or better? And then you just do the opposite.
Yes.
So do the opposite in your environment. We've talked to our friends, and the guy who we've talked about who has now much more confident, he was saying he does that. If something's not working for him, he's going, right, I'll do the opposite. Yeah. Thinks of what the opposite is and goes and does that. And he says that really works. Just doing the opposite behavior that you're doing actually really works. And if the next behavior is not quite right, you do the opposite of that until you find a behavior that works. And that's a really quick way of doing something. Just check, is this working for me? No. Yeah. What's the opposite? And then go and do the opposite. Yeah. Go and do a different behavior. And that, he says, that works really well. I've had other people tell us.
Well, that'll prevent you creating new stuff if you do that. It's the old stuff that's actually causing you to behave and think and feel and act in that way anyway. So that's the stuff that you need to go and deal with. Like whether it's raining and you should go to the shops or not is, really minor. Thing.
No, but like, when you make decisions or things, you can.
Shall I go to the pub or not? Is Dave over there?
No, but like Remy, for instance, he used it in when he was deciding how to react to something.
Yes.
He had a reaction, and usually he'd react one way to a conflict, and he decided to do the opposite. And when he did the opposite, he actually got a much better response.
Yeah, no, yes.
So if you're reacting or behaving in certain ways, do the opposite behavior, do the opposite reaction, because you'll get a much better response. So it works really well in situations that aren't working for you.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe switch off the root cause, but it's a very simple tool that anyone can do right now. So if your interaction with someone's not working, think, what is me, the way I'm interacting with that person working? No, what's the opposite? Okay, I'll simmer down, I'll cool down first, I'll take some deep breaths. Do something else, do something different, do the opposite of what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And I've known a lot of people do it, and I've used that as well to make decisions or to think about how I could do things differently.
Yeah.
Just by doing the opposite. Instead of thinking, how can I do it differently? Just go, what's the opposite? And then it will pop in your mind. That's the best way to do it. What's the opposite? And it'll pop in your mind.
Yeah. No, that's very much. And I tend to do that all the time. But I mean, I think the more that you clear all your past stuff, you know naturally what to do anyway. I don't really have to think about it now. I just sort of generally know straight away what's the right thing to do, what the right way to react is, because generally the way that we react is generally from guilt or shame anyway. It doesn't really come from a place of groundedness or centeredness because you're reacting.
Yeah,
the thing is, you shouldn't really be. You are going to react, but it's how you react to it. So
no, you're right. And if you can clear those things, that's great. However, if you can't, or you can't at the moment, then try what I've just suggested. Try the asking, is it working for you, and do a different behavior, do a different action.
Don't post a meme and go for a walk.
No, exactly. No. Well, if you think about posting a meme, go, is that really working for me? No. What's the opposite? Maybe not posting a meme and going out and socialising with some friends.
Yeah, which is really good right now. You can do that really, really well right now.
You can do. I mean,
with obviously Matt with Twat Matcock, the banker who's such an expert in health.
Apparently, yes. I'm not sure why someone's listening to an ex-banker about health.
Oh, he knows it all. He's on the telly, mate. He's on the telly. Everything that they tell you on the telly is 100% accurate. I mean, oh my word! How dare you even question anything that's on the TV?
Oh dear God! Slap my wrist and call me.
Do you know how dare you? It's the only place to go for fact, knowledge, and what's really going on in the world
fear
right now.
Fear. If you want to get some fear, that's the best place to be.
To be quite honest, I mean, I haven't watched the telly for 4 years, but I'm starting to realise now I'm really missing out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
do you want me to get your flat screen?
I'm missing out so much on the whole freaking out, the whole mask stuff, the constant fear, the cases, the deaths, and all the rest of it. And I'm missing this virtual world.
Yeah.
Because when I go outside, normally I don't see anything that I'm seeing on the TV. I just have to believe what they're telling me, and then if I do that, then I can go into the fabricated world of it's all real and that's out there. You just have to believe it. And I am actually missing that. I'm actually thinking of going back to being a BBC, Sky News, ITV, back to back, 24 hours sitting there going, oh my dear, oh my God, and actually then queuing up to get me jabbed.
Are you going to get a TV license?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I need to get a TV license.
I did see
everything they say on there is 100% right. And who am I to question these people? They know it all.
Yeah,
they know everything.
I did see two great memes. These are the only two I actually remember. I saw two great memes. One was of two Amish people talking to somebody else who wasn't Amish.
Yeah, I see that one.
And it said, why aren't you reacting like everybody else? And they went, we don't watch TV.
No, I said, yeah, exactly. It said, why aren't you not in fear over the virus? Yeah. And it just said, because you don't watch TV.
Exactly. And which was brilliant. And that's very accurate.
Yeah, very accurate.
And the other one was the government are dealing with a much bigger virus at the moment that's going round. The truth, which I thought was brilliant. I absolutely love that because that is absolutely true. They're really struggling at the moment because the truth is starting. I tell you what, it's everywhere. Yeah, literally, Facebook, TikTok. The truth is being piled out.
Telegram's where you want to get on it. That's where it's all being
everywhere. The truth, not in mainstream media. I don't think they know what the truth is. But the truth is
whoa. The mainstream media have got it all. They nail it. They know it. Everything they tell us. All the other stuff that's being found out isn't true.
No, of course
what they tell you is true.
I must remember. I always be
mindful of that, mate. Don't fall into that trap.
Yes. So, before we wrap up, does anyone have any questions about self-worth and not feeling good enough? Have you understood what we've said? Are you all geniuses and you got it straight away? Yes, Jonathan, you did. That's fantastic.
Excellent. Brilliant.
That's brilliant.
I just say hello to a few people. I don't even know if they're still watching now because it's been so long. So I'll say hello to them anyway, even if they might have gone. So hello, Gary, Alison, Jane, Mark Norris. Hello, my good friend. He's an old school. He's from when he remembers me when I was okay, how's it going, Sam? Yeah.
You still are?
I am a little bit like that. Yeah. No, I'm not. Julie, Francesca, Kevin, John, and Graham. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to us spurt on a load of old nonsense.
Will you speak for yourself? I gave very thoughtful, poised information that's very useful.
It has been very useful. I learned a lot from you today.
Did you? Yes.
Oh, yeah. First time for everything.
That's true. So I'll charge you for that later.
I know, yeah.
I'll send you the bill.
Really?
So if there's any questions, you can always post a question and we'll answer it later on, or you can email us. But if you are suffering a lack of self-worth, you don't have to live like that. That's the point. Yeah. The point is we both change self-worth in ourselves when it comes up on different scenarios, and my confidence as I've got changed with DTO has improved tenfold, especially with relationships.
Yeah. Jane Haycock's still here.
Hey Jane, Jane, love Jane. She's one of my favourite clients. Jane, known Jane for well over 12 years now. Jane, something like that. She's a fantastic person. Love Jane. If you don't have to have a lack of self-confidence, is what I'm saying. You don't have to not feel good enough. You can change it. It can be fixed. It's not who you are.
Yes.
It's not a part of you. You're not just that sort of person.
You weren't born like it.
You weren't born like it.
You just learnt it.
It can be changed and it can be fixed so that you can start feeling good enough. You can start feeling worthy and valuable and start attracting better things and people into your life.
The problem that you've got is that if you've got a load of self-worth issues and you'll go, do you know what? I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm going to go and see Jonathan. And you'll go, or Steve, and you'll go, yeah, but I don't know if I can. I'd rather spend my money on wine and food and holidays. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't. I can't.
The problem is that when you don't feel good enough, you don't feel good enough to get better.
Yeah,
so that is one of the problems. The problem is that if you really do have a very low self-esteem about yourself, you don't feel you're good enough to heal and get better.
What, waste money on you? They're doing 3 bottles of red in Morrison's for 15 quid.
Are they?
Oh my God! Why would I want to get better? Why would I want to get better when I can keep my problem?
Yeah,
and carry on drinking forever? Really?
Yes. Yes.
3 bottles of red. For
£3
£5.
red.
Yeah, 3 for £5. 3 for 15 quid.
So 15 quid.
Chucking a packet of fags as well.
Yeah.
And then they can't afford to come.
No, I'm more of a chocolate person.
Oh yeah.
They're doing 3 chocolate bars for £5.
Yeah.
I'll be up for that.
You'd be up for that.
Perhaps a bit of fruit and nut, a bit of whole nut, and a bit of dairy milk at the same. All 3. That'd be nice. I like that.
I know. We went through my chocolate box pretty bad quickly.
We did, yeah. Yeah, we did.
I had a big, massive box of chocolates, like with everything in it. But anyway, so
they need to know that. That's not part of the script. They did not need to know about your chocolate box.
I just wanted to share that.
That's a private thing, your chocolate box. Anyway, moving on. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at the Inside Out Effect. Which is www.inside-outeffect.co.uk.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, nailed it first time, baby. You can reach Stephen personally at healingthemind.co.uk.
You can.
Or you can reach out to me at thedtosystem.com or decodingpain.com.
Yes.
And our email address on there, our phone numbers are on there, so you can contact us really easily. Or you can find us on Facebook. Or you can contact one of our many fans. Perhaps Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson have our number.
Yes.
And
because what we could actually do is teach them about viruses.
We could actually teach them about viruses.
We could teach them about viruses.
In fact, we're thinking about paying them a visit very shortly if things don't change.
Yeah.
So if you're watching Matt and Boris, just give us a call. We'll educate you.
And we'll educate you that, that spreading viruses and the transmission of viruses is almost impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. It's not almost impossible. It is impossible.
But
on that note, thank you very much for watching. I've been Jonathan Shaw, which I didn't mention at the beginning of the podcast. I didn't even say my name. So if you have been wondering who I am, no, I'm not Jesus.
I had to wait all this time.
I know, I had to wait the whole end of the show to find out who I am. I'm Jonathan Shaw. That's Stephen Jakes. Would you like to add anything?
No, not at all. Just really don't. I know that right now things are tough, but don't sit in suffer. I mean, suffering's a choice. There's a solution to get rid of almost any emotional problem, any depression, any anxiety, any fears. If you even if you're in fear of the so-called coronavirus and all what's going on and where we're heading. Once you switch that off, it's no longer there. You're not in it. And I know you can't see that, but it does. And all of a sudden you just get back to feeling normal again. And you'll start thinking, what the hell was I doing? But if you're even worried about coming to see us and working with us, then we do it over the internet. We do have Zoom, we do have Skype, and I'm working with people all over the world, very successfully using Skype and Zoom. So don't think that you need to come and see us, and you don't want to, and you're frightened to leave your home because of whatever reason, whatever your belief system is. It can be done, and once it's gone, you'll be out of your house. You'll be out again, And so don't choose the suffering. It really isn't. You're just doing it to yourself when there is actually a solution to it. So that's all I was going to say, really.
So thanks for watching, everybody. If you know you want to be benefit, please share this out as much as possible. Really appreciate that. Until the next podcast, we're not sure what we're doing, but it'll be in a couple of weeks' time.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
We thank everyone for watching. We really appreciate you watching. Hopefully, it's been a little bit of light entertainment for you guys.
You've been a great host,
all
mate.
This nonsense. Thanks, mate.
That's right.
And we wish you well. Stay happy, stay healthy, keep smiling, and we'll see you on the next Inside Out Effect podcast. Take care, everyone, guys.
Ciao.
Good night.